Good morning. And welcome. It is so good to be together. I was just sitting up here enjoying our time, enjoying our gathering, enjoying the music. Thank you, Justin. And the beautiful reed organ, remembering how many times Barbara played here over the years, and reflecting upon what a beautiful thing it is. This is, I believe, my 5th time out of the 6 years I've been in Newburyport preaching. The pandemic, one year made that impossible. And how the first year I knew a couple of people's names. And now this morning, watching you all come in, I knew every single one of you. That's what it's all about. Amen. So, let us worship together, both online and here in person. Our call to worship, which is printed in your order of service. Peace be with you.
And with all humanity.
Lift up your hearts.
We lift them up in joy and praise.
Please rise in body and in spirit, and let's join together in hymn number 465, Reunion, in Hymns of the Spirit hymnal. Please remain standing for our affirmation of faith. The words are printed in your order of service. Let's join our voices. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, that we may all grow in harmony with the divine and each other. You may be seated. I'm smiling because this is an affirmation of faith for hundreds of years in the Unitarian tradition, and a little different in each congregation that says it. So some of us were stumbling over a few words. But it is delightful to be together, and welcome once again. I'll share a few joys and sorrows that I have to offer, and then invite anyone who is so moved to stand and just speak aloud and share what's on your heart this morning. And if we see anything online that we can also share, we will do that. And I do this in a tradition where we light a candle. And that candle is in our hearts. That candle is in our minds. That candle is in our thoughts. So we light a candle of joy for returning this morning in person and online, as has been a tradition for this congregation and for the First Religious Society for a very, very long time. We light a candle of joy for friendships, old and new, present and gone by. We light a candle of concern for all of the storms, fires, earthquakes, and more that have happened and are continuing to happen this summer. As we realize the effects of climate change, as it's seen in just a few places, Maine, Southern California, Hawaii, Greece, Canada, just a few. May we do all we can to live with unending hope, while also doing all we can to protect the vulnerable, to support one another and all creatures, and to care for this, our exquisite planet. We light a candle of sorrow for the shooting in Dorchester. Again, another unneeded and senseless tragedy. And I invite you to share anything you would like to share on your hearts or minds this morning, joys, concerns, sorrows. Yes, please, just stand.
The joy of being up here in Hampton Falls and coming into this beautiful church and the welcoming community here. So I really like being here with the
Yes.
Will you repeat?
The joy, yes, Justin's asked for those online that I repeat. The essence of what I've heard you say. The joy of community, of being here together, of the welcoming community that is this congregation, Hampton Falls. Of course you can.
togetherness I feel with my family when we're at the campground. You know, it's just a beautiful space with the pines and a lot of things to feel cool about.
Yes, the joy of being together with family on a campground with pines around, so many things to be joyful for. Yes.
I'd like to add to that and speak to the joy of relationships in family and otherwise that can hit some bumps and some challenges, and then the love that underlies these relationships and the willingness to come back together.
The joy of family and friends and the bumps that can come and do come in those relationships, and the love that is underneath of it all. that brings it back together. And for all of the joys and all of the sorrows, all of the hopes and concerns that are on each and every one of our hearts and minds, that although unspoken, are held in just as much love and care. I invite you now to join in our responsive reading, which is number 57, Call of Wisdom, again in the hymnal. The call of wisdom. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice?
She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of paths.
She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors.
Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men.
Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things.
For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips.
All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them.
They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge.
Happy is the one that findeth wisdom, and the one that getteth understanding.
For the merchandise of wisdom is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold.
She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her.
Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor.
Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace.
She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her.
Here ends the reading. Our reading this morning is a longer reading. It's more like a story from a longer story. The Lincoln Highway, some of you may have enjoyed. Amor Tolls. Well, how would I describe that? A little like a John Steinbeck, but it's this wonderful journey across the United States, taken by three young teenage boys who've just come out of juvenile detention. And it's enjoyable and pleasant and insightful. This particular excerpt that I'm going to share is actually taken from a sermon that was given by their preacher before they did their runaway. And the Reverend is explaining in this sermon why making preserves is a very wise thing to do. Even though the process of making preserves is time-consuming, unnecessary, and old-fashioned. I have returned to this story many times. So this are the Reverend's words. Making preserves is a time-consuming adventure. Just picking the berries takes you half a day. Then you have to wash and stem the fruit. You have to sterilize the lids in the jars. Once you combine the ingredients, you have to set them on simmer and watch them like a hawk, never letting yourself stray more than a few feet from the stove to make sure they don't overcook. When they're ready, you pour the preserves, seal the jars, and lug them into the pantry one tray at a time. Only then can you start the process of cleaning up, which is a job unto itself. Making preserves is a time-consuming adventure. And yes, the canning of preserves is a little old-fashioned, hearkening back to the era of root cellars and wagon trains. I suppose the very word preserves is bygone when compared to the blunt precision of jam. And it is, above all else, unnecessary. Thanks to Mr. Smucker, at the grocer, there are 15 varieties of jam selling, season in and season out. So yes, the making of strawberry preserves is time-consuming, old-fashioned, and unnecessary. Then why, you might ask, do I bother to do it? I do it because it's time-consuming, old-fashioned, and unnecessary. I do it because it's time-consuming. Whoever said that something worthwhile shouldn't take time? Time is that which God uses to separate the idle from the industrious. For time is a mountain, and upon seeing its steep incline, the idle will lay down among the lilies of the field and hope that someone passes by with a pitcher of lemonade. What the worthy endeavor requires is planning, effort, attentiveness, and the willingness to clean up. And I do it because it's old-fashioned. Just because something new doesn't mean it's better. And often enough, it means it's worse. Saying please and thank you is plenty old-fashioned. Raising children is old-fashioned. Traditions, the very means by which we come to know who we are nothing if not old-fashioned. I make preserves in the manner that was taught to me by my mother, God rest her soul. She made preserves in the manner that was taught to her by her mother. And Grandma made preserves in the manner that was taught to her by hers. And so on and so forth. Back through the ages, all the way to Eve, or at least to Martha, for those of you who know biblical stories. And I do it because it's unnecessary. For what is kindness but the performance of an act that is both beneficial to another and unrequired? There is no kindness in paying a bill. For that matter, there is no kindness necessarily in making dinner or cleaning up the kitchen after your father is upstairs without him giving you so much as a word of thanks. There is no kindness in latching doors and turning out the lights, or picking up the clothes from the bathroom floor in order to put them in the hamper. Nope, there is no kindness in any of that. For kindness begins where necessity ends. And here ends this story. I want to thank you again for joining me this morning. It was time-consuming, I know. It's old-fashioned going to church, especially here with this joint service we do every year. Some would say it's unnecessary. It is definitely kind. I love being here to preach each August, and I know Justin enjoys it equally. It's beautiful inside with its trompe-l'oeil paintings and reed organ. It is beautiful outside with the meadows, the farmland, the trees. We've gathered here on cloudy, rainy days and bright, sunny mornings. It is a tradition, or one might say old-fashioned, a way that FRS and Hampton Falls have joined for, I don't know, a long time. In fact, when I came here, it was one of the things I was told I would do. Okay. It's one of the more simple things, which you'll hear more about. The minister of the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, has been coming here, rain or shine, in all ages and stages of the life of the church and the churches and of their ministry, the lives of the people. Preaching here is also time-consuming, and it is kind. I love preparing and delivering these specific sermons because they can be so normal. One could even say, though I wouldn't, that they are unnecessary sermons. These late August sermons don't need to communicate a vital message of where the congregation is headed. They don't have to make an appeal for money. They don't have to try to solve the justice issue of the day. They can just be normal, even average, and I hope kind. These sermons can meander, they can wander, they can wonder, they can pause to consider daily living. And they are, in that normalcy, exquisite. So I ask, when did our pursuit of greatness become more important than knowing our exquisiteness? When did our pursuit of greatness become more important than knowing in our bones how exquisite we are? Greatness is sorely overrated in our society, at least in the middle and upper middle class, largely white neighborhoods along the eastern seaboard of the United States, from whence I come. Children are taught to pursue greatness, to be the best at whatever they try. This relentless pursuit of greatness has turned being average somehow into a failure. But I ask, how can everyone be great? What is average then? And I could talk at length about what happens to those students, for example, who don't have that bumper sticker that goes on the car that says, my child, grandchild, neighbor, whatever, is on the honor roll of this great school. Those children are exquisite too. And I could talk about what happens to the children whose grandparents, parents, neighbors, friends have 5 of those bumper stickers on their car that say, my child is on the honor roll, and the pain and anxiety those kids can feel to keep it up. What is average then? The truth is, thank goodness, we are not necessarily great. Certainly not in everything we do, nor throughout every aspect or time in our life. In fact, there's great research that I can't quote, but look it up, about the results of this greatness and pursuit of greatness and perception of self-greatness so as not to feel less than, and what it's done to traffic accidents. Because how many people, if you ask them, how good of a driver are you? Everyone, or again, I'm not, largely believes they are a much better driver than they are. Again, the truth is we're not necessarily great in everything we do. This myth of greatness applies equally to adults as much as it does to children, including adults who are in the last decades of their lives. I want to talk about those folks for a moment. So many people worry as they near the end of their lives, and that could be 30, 40 years before or 4 days, but so many people, as they near the end of their lives, worry that they didn't do it right. The conversations we have break my heart. They worry that they've made mistakes, misprioritized. What is my legacy? They ask again and again. It is a fallacy that legacy is only for the great and the well-achieved. Your life, our life, is our legacy. Your ordinary, exquisite self is your legacy. That is more often true, by the way, for the people who are very accomplished, own a lot, achieved a lot. They ask the same questions. We don't miss greatness when people die. We miss their ordinariness. We miss their lumpy mashed potatoes, their tendencies to always know the answers. We miss their vulnerabilities, their smiles, which, if we're lucky, are on a wrinkled, older face. We miss their beloved face. Upon reading the title of my sermon this morning, FRS member Wendy Ford sent me an email sharing about how important the concept of normalcy is to her and her adult children. And with her permission, I share her words. She wrote and she said, "The very word normalcy has held special meaning for me ever since my fabulous husband, who had to go all too soon, said, just after we received the devastating diagnosis, that it was all that he wanted, normalcy." I suppose I'm always trying, Wendy writes, I suppose I'm always trying to keep his spirit alive, or at least available. He was extraordinary, and his wish for normalcy truly did set the children and me down such a healthy path. She wrote, "You probably have your sermon, Reverend Rebecca, for Sunday all set, but I couldn't help noticing this subject. I believe that my book, her book, which is entitled Normalcy, is still on the FRS website, and I just wanted you to know that you are welcome to any part of it that you might find helpful." Thank you, Wendy. When my own father died just a few months ago, I was surprised, not that I'd necessarily thought about it. He wasn't a person of many material possessions at all, by choice. However, I was surprised that there were two things of his that I wanted. I wanted anything. Sorry. Sorry. This was very recent. I won't talk about it a lot for a while. I wanted anything that had his handwriting on it. Anything. I didn't care what it said. I just wanted to see his handwriting and hold it in my hand. And I wanted one of his flannel shirts, which I can promise you is not what he wore to IBM. I didn't care about his big accomplishments. I didn't want his diplomas from prestigious schools or his work awards. I wanted to feel him, see his message, and remember his everyday, normal, exquisite, flawed self. In addition to blinding us to the exquisiteness of life, the pursuit of greatness feeds the myth that we are alone and somehow flawed, while everybody else has it all together. I can assure you this is not true, nor should it be. I learned a long time ago that there is nothing any of us experience, feel, question, or believe that others don't also experience, feel, question, and believe. Perhaps not every person, though there are those things too that literally all humans will feel: grief, joy, resentment, jealousy. Even the most particular, unique situations and things that happen and feelings you have, the age at which something happens in your life, and on and on and on. There is nothing that others don't also experience, feel, question, and believe. We just must be brave enough to talk about those things appropriately, and lucky enough and committed enough to having close community and friends who talk about their experiences too. Think for a moment about the myths of perpetual good health, or a particular size or abled body, if you only eat the right thing. It is human to be imperfect, flawed, average, aging, It is human to be normal. It is human to be exquisite at the same time in our normalcy. These are liberating truths. So here on this exquisite Sunday, I am grateful that we get to be normal together. We get to rejoice in what Richard Rohr calls the good, the beautiful, and the true. Let's celebrate the ordinary. Let's be the people who celebrate flannel shirts and jeans jackets, our favorite animal, dogs or fireflies. Let's celebrate sticky hands of children that leave a mess on window panes and kitchen cupboards. Let's celebrate our changing bodies, aching backs, making it harder to reach the shoes we tie. Let's celebrate what we can do and the exquisite world of which we are a part, and its fragility, its beauty, and need for us to care. I believe life created every part of creation, including you, to be exquisite, just the way you are. I don't believe that life gives a damn about greatness. I do believe that it celebrates our gifts and our efforts. So may we all remember the gifts of normalcy. May we make room to do things that are time-consuming, old-fashioned, unnecessary, and most definitely kind. Amen. I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer, meditation, centering, being here exactly where you are. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling that which is holding your body, the pew or the seat, the earth under your feet, the air moving gently through the space, the sounds around you. I invite you now to bring to your mind and heart a person or people or place, a piece of land, an animal, a stream, a bed of water, a pine tree. Bring it now to your mind, something that reminds you of the gratitude you feel for being alive on this day. And as you look at that person, animal, flower, sky, water, earth, you feel and smell and hear and touch its exquisiteness. Oh, some may say it's normal, but you know who this person and people are and their hearts. You know the feel of the land and the water and the breeze. And you love the bark and the soft fur and the gentle eyes of the deer and the dog. For we are all interconnected. We are all part of the glory of creation. We are all born exquisite. And we are all ordinary and normal. As we come into that knowing, may we remember it each and every day and choose always to celebrate the exquisiteness and rejoice in the normal. And I give us a moment now to be with our own silent prayers, meditation, and thoughts. Amen. I invite you now to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And it is the time each week when we gratefully receive your offering to support the work of this congregation and the Newburyport. Your offering will be gratefully received. Please rise in body and in spirit. Let's join together in the doxology. The words are in your order of service, and we'll follow that with our closing hymn, number 42, Joy. as we prepare ourselves to depart, both in person and online, from this joyous reunion, from this long-held tradition, may we do so knowing the joys that are there and ours to celebrate. May we say aloud the words to those we love, the words of remorse, the words of apology, the words of love and thanksgiving. May we say them in the days we have that remain. And may we take the time to write the things down for the generations to come, that they too may remember and know your exquisiteness, your ordinariness, and the beauty of the normal day. Go in peace, my friends. Return again in great joy. Amen, and blessed be.